श्री परमात्मने नमः। अथ श्रीमद्भगवद्गीता अथ चतुर्थोऽध्यायः। Chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita began with the words of Bhagavan Krishna. He said that he taught this imperishable Brahma Vidya to Vivaswan, the sun god. And from then on, it is coming generation after generation. And he lauded the teachers of Brahma Vidya. And hearing this, Arjuna had a very genuine doubt. How is it possible, Krishna, that you are born only in this generation, and how you taught this to sun god? And for that, Bhagavan Krishna replied, myself as well as you, Arjuna, we both have taken many births. I remember and I know all of them, but you do not remember them. And Bhagavan Krishna again said, I will be born again and again, yuge, from time to time, whenever dharma declines and adharma rises up, and to protect the people who hold dharma and to destroy the people who hold adharma, I will be born again and again. And the people who always meditate on me, who think about me, they attain me, and there is no rebirth for them. And he also said that with whatever motive a person approaches me, whether it is for worldly desire or for jnana, in whatever way they come to me, I will reward them immediately. And Bhagavan Krishna also said that attaining the worldly desires are very easy, but attaining jnana and liberation is difficult. And he said in the 11th verse that I paved path for the people to follow. So what path did he pave for us? That he is explaining in the verse 13 of chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita. Let us see that verse. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashaha tasya kartaramapi mam vidya kartaramavyayam. Bhagavan Krishna is telling, Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam. I created 4 divisions. I created 4 divisions so that the people will follow them. Divided the human race itself into 4 divisions strictly based on guna karma. And that division is based on guna, the nature, the mentality of the person, and the action he do. Based on our gunas only, we select the action. So based on that, purely based on that, I divided the entire human beings, the human race, into 4 divisions. So what are they? The 4 divisions are Brahmana Varna, Kshatriya Varna, Vaisya Varna, and Shudra Varna. So these are the 4 divisions Bhagavan created. Now the Prakriti itself is the combination of 3 gunas, Sattva Guna, Rajo Guna, and Tamo Guna. So the nature of the Sattva Guna is humbleness, intelligence, knowledge, longing for knowledge, Veda Adhyayanam and Parayanam, straightforwardness, truth, purity, then self-control, self-restraint, intelligence, devotion, happiness, all this belongs to the Sattva Guna. There are many more, and Bhagavan Krishna itself very clearly explains about this guna in the following chapter, in one of the following chapter. Guna Traya Vibhaga Yoga. In that he explains very clearly about these gunas. Now we will see these gunas in a nutshell. So these are the Sattva Guna. The Sattva Gunas are the purity, happiness, knowledge, Veda Adhyayanam and Parayanam, that is the thirst for knowledge, humbleness, sincerity, truth, straightforwardness, devotion, and self-control. So all these are the sattva guna. And the people who have rajoguna, they are very aggressive people, desire, passion, strength, braveness, determination. If they want to attain something, they will attain it. Determination, anger, longingness for the desires, authoritativeness, greediness, attachment too much for the desires, passion, activity, all this belong to the Rajoguna. And the people who are of tamasic nature, and the nature of the tamoguna is darkness, inertia, that is alessia, delusion, not able to decide anything quickly, that is loss of the power of discrimination, completely deluded, always confused, laziness, non-confident nature, inner urge to serve others, helping others. Yeah, all these belong to the tamoguna. So any person is a combination of these three gunas. In a brahmana, the sattva guna will be dominating, followed by rajas and then tamas. Tamas comes only the last. They use the tamas only to take rest, etc. That is the Brahmana Varna. The Kshatriya Varna, in the Kshatriya Varna, the Rajoguna will be dominating, followed by Sattva and then Tamas. In the Vaishya Varna, for them also Rajoguna will be dominating, but followed by Tamas and then Sattva. In the Shudra, Tamoguna will be dominating, followed by Rajas, and then comes the Sattva. So these are the nature of the four varnas. The Brahmanas, they perform action based on their gunas. Mostly they will learn Vedas, teach Vedas. They are very humble, straightforward, self-controlled, intelligent. That is the Brahmana Varna. Kshatriya Varna means they have that urge to and responsibility to protect others, um, passion, determination, braveness, strength. The rulers and the warrior class, they belong to the Kshatriya Varna. And the Vaishya Varna, they do profession of agriculture. They take the profession of agriculture, plowing the land, and everything concerned with agriculture, business, and something to earn money. They look after the economy. That is the Vaishya Varna. And the Shudra Varna, they help all these three other Varnas because they have the strength and they take orders easily. Even though they cannot determine or decide anything individually, they take orders and follow that. So they help everyone. So these are the four divisions in the society. These are only divisions, and no, there is no discrimination in it because the society needs all the four varnas equally. Even in a person, only one guna will be dominating. At other times, or other two gunas will come and go. Now, the caste system existing now is only based on the birth of a person in a particular kula or a family. He need not have that particular guna of that varna. For example, if a person is born in a Brahmana family, it can give him social status. So the today's caste system is only for the social status. It has nothing to do with the knowledge or liberation. Because a person, when he is born in a Brahmana family, he is said as a Brahmana. But he may or may not have the gunas of a Brahmana Varna. So based on that, according to his guna, he will select and he will perform an action. For example, if a person, even though born in a Brahmana guna, if he has the guna of a Shudra, then he must be considered only as a Shudra. That's what Bhagavan Krishna says. Based on his guna, must be considered as a Shudra. If he has Tamo guna, even though born in the Brahmana Varna, Kula, he must be considered as a Shudra because he has that nature, Shudra nature, Tamo guna. The same way, if a person is born in a Shudra Kula, Shudra family, but if he has a Sattva guna, then he must be considered as a Brahmana. For example, Ratnakara, he was born in a Shudra family as a dacoit, as a people who disturb others and get their money. But when he met some rishis, his nature and guna changed and he became so sattvic and he is considered as a sage Brahmana and he is the Adikavi Valmiki. Just like that, Ajamila, he was born in a Brahmana Kula, but when he had some bad company, his nature changed and he exhibited the Tamoguna. And he is considered as a Shudra only. But in the end, by chanting Bhagavan's name, he attained liberation. So it's all with the gunas. Take the example of Janaka Maharaj. He was a Kshatriya, but he had Sattva guna and he is considered as a Brahmana sage. So, being born in a family, it gives only the social status. That's important for society. But to attain liberation or to attain knowledge, the guna and karma are very important. So Bhagavan Krishna is telling about the varna, the division, entirely purely based on the guna and the action concerned with it. If we consider only the social status, ignoring the guna and the action, then there will be only chaos in the society. It will not lead to any peaceful way of life. So Bhagavan Krishna is very particular about his guna and karma that decides the varna and not just merely being born in a family. It gives us the social status but not knowledge. And that's the main reason for so much of chaos and community violences and clashes in the society which we see today. So Bhagavan Krishna very clearly tells about the four varnas and the three gunas and its division. And in the next line of the same verse itself, he says, Tasya kartaram abhimam vidya kartaram abhyayam. He says that even though I created these varnas, I am not the doer. I am a non-doer. For the first line he says, I created Maya Srishtam. I created these four varnas. And in the second line itself he says, even though I created these varnas, I am a non-doer. I am a non-doer of action. Now let us see on what basis Bhagavan Krishna is telling this. It is so contradictory, isn't it? Let us see what he says in the next verse. न मां कर्माणि लिम्पन्ति न मे कर्मफले स्पृहा इति मां योऽभिजानाति कर्मभिर्न स बध्यते. Bhagavan Krishna is telling, even though I perform action, I am not attached to action, nor its fruits of the action, not the fruits of the action. I am not attached to the action as well as its fruits. Iti mam yo abhijanati, a person who know my nature thus, he is liberated from all the bondages. He is free and he is liberated from all the bondages. So what Bhagavan Krishna is telling, he doesn't have the ego. When we identify with our body and mind, then automatically the ego will come and we feel that I am the doer. But when a person identify with the self, with the Atma, then this doership or the ego, it will not come. It will not affect us. So based on that is Bhagavan Krishna telling. Bhagavan Krishna is established in the self, and he is very clear that I am not the doer of all these actions. I do the action for the welfare of the world, but I am not attached to the action nor its result. He's very clear about it. He do all this for the welfare of the world, for the welfare of the society. That's it. एवं ज्ञात्वा कृतं कर्म पूर्वैरपि मुमुक्षुभिः कुरु कर्मैव तस्मात् त्वं पूर्वतरं कृतम्. Bhagavan Krishna is telling that is Purve, that is the people who are ancient, that is the people who in the beginning itself, the people who are ancient people also, they had this knowledge, they had the self knowledge, and they performed action for the welfare of others. They lived in the middle of the society itself. They had the social life, but at the same time, they had knowledge also. Because of that, they were able to perform any action without being attached to the action or attached to the result of the action. That's very important. For example, Janaka Maharaj, he was a king, Kshatriya, and he had all the luxuries in with him, but he lived as a sage. He ruled the nation, he protected his subjects, but he lived as a sage. And that's what Bhagavan Krishna is telling. And like that, also, you also perform the action, Arjuna, because in the last chapter itself, Arjuna asked which one is better, either knowledge or karma. Which one should I select? Bhagavan is telling you select both and you have self knowledge and you perform the action, just like the people of yore. किं कर्म किमकर्मेति कवयो यत्र मोहिताः तत्ते कर्म प्रवक्ष्यामि यज्ञात्वा मोक्ष्यसे शुभात्. Bhagavan Krishna is telling, Kim karma? What is karma? Kim akarma? What is inaction? What is karma, action, and what is inaction? Even the people who are wise, kavayo, even the people who are wise, they are confused about it. Mohitaha, they are deluded by this. Because many people, they think when they sit quietly, that is inaction. And when they perform action, that is also action. But Bhagavan Krishna is telling, even the wise people do not know what is action and what is inaction. So I will explain to you very clearly, Arjuna, so that it will remove all the misconception about karma and akarma, action in inaction and inaction from your mind, and it will help you to liberate from the samsara, that is from this bondage of birth and death. Let us see what Bhagavan Krishna says. This verse is verse 17 of chapter 4. कर्मणो ह्यभिबोद्धव्यं बोद्धव्यं च विकर्मणः अकर्मणश्च बोद्धव्यं गहना कर्मणो गतिः गहना कर्मणो गतिः. The path of action is so deep and profound. Karmano hyabi bodhavyam. A person must know what is action. He must be very clear about what is action. More than that, vikarma, what is forbidden action. Even if you do not know action, you must know what is forbidden action. Otherwise, we will do it. By mistake, we may do it. In ignorance also. So, we must know about what is forbidden action. And akarma, what is inaction. So, a person must be very clear about what is action, what is inaction, and what is forbidden action. That should not be done, vikarma. The next verse is a very important verse and it is quoted in many places. Let us see what the verse is. Karmanya karmaya pashyed akarmani cha karmayah sabuddhiman manushyeshu sayuktah kritsna karma krit. Bhagavan Krishna is telling, Karmanya akarma yah pashyed, a person who see in action. Akarmani cha karma yah pashyed, a person who see action in inaction. So Bhagavan Krishna says, a person who see inaction in action and action in inaction, that person is considered as a buddhiman. Among the human beings, he is a wise person. The beauty of Advaita philosophy itself is these paradoxical statements. Just opposites, telling the opposites in one statement itself. Inaction in action, action in inaction, knowing the unknown. So these are all very beautiful statements in the Advaita philosophy. It comes in the Upanishads also, similar statements. And why Bhagavan Krishna uses such a paradoxical statement, opposite? Because it helps us to think, it just kindles our mind to think about it. Not only that, the world is this. The world is performing action. Always we all are performing action, and Bhagavan Krishna is telling, seeing inaction in action. So it makes us to think a bit, isn't it? So what does this statement mean? Seeing inaction in action. Now I am performing an action. I am just telling about something very important. I am speaking about it. Now I am performing an act. I am in action. But all the time myself, it is inactive. The Atma doesn't act at any time. It is always ever actionless. So the Atma is only witnessing, and all the time I am acting. My body and mind and intellect is performing an action, but myself is inactive. So this is seeing inaction of the self in the action of the body, mind and complex. So this is seeing inaction in action. Myself is inactive, actionless, but by body and mind they are acting. So this is seeing inaction in action. Now what is seeing action in inaction? Suppose I keep quiet. I just keep my body like this and I do not perform any action. I am just inactive. My physical body is inactive. But can my mind be inactive? If my mind is also calm without performing any action, then that is the supreme meditative state, isn't it? But it's not so easy. Even though when my body is not in action, when my body is not performing any action, all the time my mind will be churning out ideas, planning something. At least I will think, oh, I am so not doing any work, I am wasting time, I should have done some work. At least this I will think. So this is seeing action in inaction, the seeing the action of the mind while the body is in action, what body is in inaction or inactive. So this is seeing action in inaction. So we not only that, we always superimpose this concept of I am the doer, the ego, ahankara on the self, which does not have any individuality or ahankara or anything. It is only supreme consciousness. It doesn't have any ahangara. But what we do, we superimpose the ahangara, the ownership, the enjoyership, the doership, everything on that self atma. For example, every day, we see sunrise and sunset. Does the sun really rise? Think about it. No, it is only the earth changes its position. So we feel that sun is coming up, the sun rises because we do not realize the motion of the earth on which we are standing or sitting. We do not realize the motion of it. But we see the sun coming up. It is only an illusion, optical illusion. We feel that the sun is coming up and we assume, and not only assume, we superimpose the motion on the sun all the time, which is motionless. Just like that, we say that the sun has set. It has gone, that is plunged into the sea. When we see the sunset from the shore, it is just like the sun just going into that sea. So we say the sun has set, but it has not really set. The sun doesn't move. It's only the earth which changes this position, and so we feel that as the sun has set. So we superimpose the motion, movement on the sun, which is not moving all the time. Only the earth is moving. So just that's why when the two astronomers, the famous astronomers, when they landed on the moon, they said that they don't see Chandrodaya, they see only Bhumodaya. The Bhumi is rising because they are on the moon. So it's a very unique experience and they have written about it in their article. So they saw only Bhumodaya, not Chandrodaya. So just like that, we train ourselves. We have trained ourselves to superimpose something on something which is not real. So we are superimposing the ego, the ahankara, the individuality on the self, which is non-dual. It doesn't have any ahankara or anything. So in the next verse, Bhagavan Krishna, next line, Bhagavan Krishna says, a person who know about it, he is the performer of all the action. Because he is that self, when he is established in the self, he performs the action through all the beings. He is the self of all the beings. He will become the self of all the beings. He has no particular action to perform. Even though he performs for the world, for the humanity, for the other people to benefit from it. He doesn't perform any action. He doesn't want anything. He only very few needs he has just to maintain his body. So he is the performer of all the action. He'll become an integrated person, and he is the performer of all the action. The first sentence is very important. That is seeing the inaction of the Atma in the action of the body and mind. That is seeing inaction in action. And the next statement is seeing action in inaction is seeing the action of the mind in while the body is inactive. So seeing the action in inaction. So that's the meaning of this very famous verse. And Bhagavan Krishna also says, यस्य सर्वे समारम्भाः कामसङ्कल्पवर्जिताः ज्ञानाग्निदग्धकर्माणं तमाहुः पण्डितं बुधाः. Bhagavan Krishna says, a person who is wise, he will not have any desires or any imagination. Because that knowledge would have burned all his desires and imagination. It would have burned all his desires and imagination because when we attain that self, when we have the knowledge of the self, then we will understand that we are that Swarupa of Ananda, we are that bliss itself. So we do not go for anything, any petty thing, for any sense object. which so far may have given us bliss and happiness. We thought that bliss and happiness comes from outside, but when we realize that we are that Swarupa, Ananda Swarupa, Sachidananda Swarupa, then we will not go for anything external. For example, we might have had so many toys and cycles in our young age, but no longer it influences us or attracts us. We may feel silly when someone says that you cried for all that. We may feel silly, isn't it? Just like that, when we mature and when we have that knowledge of the self, we are established in that bliss itself. So our mind will not have any desires or any imagination or any longing. And that's how a sage is. Jnanagni means by knowledge, the fire of knowledge, it burns all the desires. So usually the knowledge is said as fire only because it will, after that, a person will not have any desire. So that's how a jnani, a sage will be. So that's the end of the 19th verse of chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita. From the next verse, Bhagavan Krishna is very clearly explaining about the nature of a sage. And now I'll take a break and continue with the rest of the chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita in my next video. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara Tatra Sri Vijayo Bhudi Dhuvani Tirmatirmama. Om Shri Krishnarpanamastu.